Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to do my full review on the Hoback knives Sumo. One of my favorite knives currently. One of the probably top 5 knives in my collection right now. Absolutely loving this knife. Not that it doesn't have some downsides, so we'll get to that real quick. I just want to promote my t-shirt order right now. I'm doing a run of shirts with the Detent Diva design. This is the design right here. These stickers will come with the shirts. They're 20 bucks. There's a link in the description. A link on my Instagram page. You can email me for a link, leftyedc88@gmail.com. You can just leave a comment, whatever. There's a website you can go order credit card or Apple Pay. And that $20 is with shipping, so it's included. All right, so this is a knife I picked up. At this point, it's been about a month and a half. I picked it up at Blade Show from Hoback Knives. I've been carrying the piss out of this thing. It's kind of good that I've had it this long, actually. I waited kind of long because I really love it. And when I really love a knife, I tend to take longer to do a review, because once the review's done, then I start loaning it out, and then I start not carrying it because I need to carry other things or whatever, right? And this is just one of those knives I didn't want to give up quickly because I really like it. And I guess we should just basically jump into it. I picked it up at Blade Show. It was $550. And yeah, so aesthetically, this knife to me is sexy. It just has this really cool vibe to it. It has this reverse tanto, sheep's footy type blade with a lot of belly, basically all belly. A nice tip on there, this kind of reverse tanto point. Beautiful fuller with the bead blast on it. The handle is just this kind of mix between thick yet very sleek and comfortable. I love the aesthetic, color-wise. I love the kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, blasted titanium with this blue anodized hardware. I love the pivot they use. Look at that pivot over there. It just looks sexy. And that's actually on the clip side, which is interesting. The show side has the tooling, but that looks good as well. Has this nice little milling pocket right here. Just really nice details on this knife. The satin finish is to die for. It is one of the best satin finishes I've seen. It's kind of a mix between a belt and a mirror kind of finish on it. It's very shiny, picks up prints very easily, which for me, yeah, you got to clean it off a lot, but totally cool, right? I like it. So aesthetically, I am a big fan, guys. Also, materials-wise, titanium, button lock, 20 CV, and it is a flipper, thumb stud, fuller. You could deploy it any way you want. I'll get into that in terms of action. It is dead centered as well, and the build quality is top-notch. All right, so ergos. I love the ergos on this knife. It just fits my hand perfectly. And, that's going to be subjective, obviously. But when I put this knife in hand, it just fits like a glove. My thumb rides up here. My fingers just land in the perfect places, It's just money. And you can kind of choke up here on this flipper tab, but, you don't really need to, because you have plenty of control back here already. But if you really want to get up there, you can. Ergonomics are outstanding on this knife. Now, there's one big caveat to this, and that's the clip, guys. So, you guys have probably seen my other videos on this knife, and at this point you've heard this a million times, but this clip ships stock with an absolutely just almost unacceptable point that comes off of here, right? And what it does, especially if you're right-handed, is that point right there just digs into your palm. No matter how you hold it, you squeeze at all, and that thing is driving a point into your palm. I mean, I showed it when I first got it. I would squeeze down, and there'd just be a pinpoint in my palm. Like, that shit hurt. And left-handed, in certain grips, like, unless you're in the standard grip like this, what is this called? Hammer grip? You don't feel it left-handed. One reason I picked up the knife, because I didn't even really realize the clip was such a big issue, because I'm left-handed. But as soon as you put it in any other type of grip, you will feel that clip just as bad as a righty. So, what did I do? I reached out to some friends, the knife modders, Richie B and Lindy Lou, fantastic modders, and I sent them the knife, and they went ahead and they fixed the clip. They just basically redesigned the end there of the clip and then refinished it and re-anoed it perfectly to match. It came out absolutely fantastic. I have a video just on that if you want to see it up close. And now it's gone. There's no hot spot on that clip. This is how this clip should ship. Hoback Knives should take notice and just copy whatever Richie and Lindy did and call it a day. That's how I see it. But yeah, so the clip, it's a pretty big ergonomic issue, but it's easily taken care of. It cost me $40, and if you know what you're doing, you could probably do it at home. I'm not messing with that shit, but it cost me $40 total, and that was including shipping both ways. I think that's reasonable. So you can find somebody to do it. I recommend Lindy Lou and Richie B. I believe they've done a few more already since I had mine done, so they're experts at this point. Alright, so that's Ergo's carry. So, again, the clip, it's probably the biggest issue on the knife is the clip. It's over to the side like this, which, you know, it doesn't bother me when it's in my back left pocket, which is where I carry this a lot because it's right-handed. It doesn't have the strongest detent. Again, we'll get to that. So I prefer to carry it in my back left pocket because my front left, if it opens, I have scissors in there, and that's not fun. And it does have things that could catch to open it and that kind of thing. So I prefer the back left. But occasionally I'll carry it in my front left pocket. And especially now in the summer with shorts, the way they're not like jeans where they just have a straight pocket, right? Horizontal and then straight down. The pockets are kind of like angled, they're tilted, you know, they're V-shaped, like, and what happens is I'll put it in pocket, and then because the clip is over here, the knife will start to like turn in my pocket, right? Because the clip is hanging on the side here, and jeans or shorts aren't like super thick or rigid, so the knife will just kind of like turn in my pocket. And I had times where I'd go to pull it out and the knife was like backwards. And then another thing, and this is something that Jake Hoback kind of advertised, is that if you get the thumb studs right coming out of pocket, you can basically Emerson wave this knife open. So coming out of pocket, you go to pull it out, and if you get one of these caught in the right spot of your jeans, you can basically rip it out. And now the knife is open and deployed, and you Emerson waved it. And he was kind of advertising that as a positive. And for me, that bugs the shit out of me when a knife does that. I have sold plenty of knives because I pulled them out of pocket once, and they just flip open. The TRM Shadow comes to mind. A very anticipated knife. That bothered me to no end. The Birch Tree Secant did that to me, and I sold it. Again, it's sort of an issue because I'm left-handed and carrying it in my left pocket, so maybe it's not an issue for righties, but this is my review, my experience. So I've had that happen a couple times with this knife now, and in my back left pocket one time I had it happen because I had it in a pair of shorts with a button, so there's like a button halfway on the back of the pocket, right? And I tucked this in on the left side, and I was pulling it out, and it was kind of a tight fit because of that button, and it got caught on that, and boop, just came out like this. And when that happens and you're not expecting it, now you're holding a loaded weapon, right? And you're just like, oh, crap. And you're like, because I was just trying to pull it out with 2 fingers to try to start flipping it, right? Not the end of the world, but it's kind of annoying. And now I have to sit there and worry about it happening every time I pull it out of my pocket. So it's possible that this knife just isn't a certain pants knife. And I've said many times, I'm not a fan of having to make adjustments just to have a knife in my pocket or in my rotation, or make adjustments to be able to flick a knife or whatever. So that's an issue with the knife. As you know, as you can tell, there's some issues I have with this knife. But it seems that the positives just kind of like way outshine it. But I'm still not done. Okay? So that was Carry. It's good. It's lightweight for its size and shape and all that. It's good. They milled the shit out of the liner or the scales in there. You can see that in my disassembly. They did a great job. It carries well. It just has the clip on the side, and it has the Emerson type stud thing that pisses me off. All right. Cutting. This thing is a fantastic cutter, guys. I have opened many a package with this. I have opened a lot of toys. So my daughter had her first birthday last weekend, and I opened a shitload of toys. And I had to open zip ties with this sucker. And guys, it does really well at all of it. It slices very well. It cuts very well. It gets behind zip ties and pops them very well. It has a pretty dainty tip, but it has withstood my attempts at killing it. It's good. I love the cutting on this knife. It's a very thin edge, very thin behind the edge. There's like very little resistance when cutting through things, especially paper and stuff like that. Now, one thing I wanted to note about cutting, and I guess this is also related to just the knife in general. There's 2 things. One, there's a chip on the edge. About halfway down, there's a little bit of a chip or a roll of some kind. You're not going to be able to see it. I really doubt it. And it was my fault. So I was sitting here fidgeting with it, and this is how I chip the edge on knives. This is how I get like a chip on a knife most of the time. I break a tip off. I'm at my desk and I'm just fidgeting with it, and I don't pay attention, and I kind of flip it right into the desk. I'll flick it into glass because it's a glass desk. I forget how I did it, but I flicked it to where like the center of the edge just smacked the shit out of a corner of glass desk. And of course, it took a little chip out or rolled it or whatever. I've stropped the shit out of it since, and I basically got it out. I think if I put it on my sharp maker, couple passes on each rod, it would be gone. But I'm sending this out to a couple people, and one of them is Jared Neve. And I'm probably just going to ask him if he wouldn't mind getting that nick out real quick. He usually likes to sharpen knives to feel out the steel and, the edge and the geometry and all that nerdy shit he likes. So hopefully he'll hook me up. I'll ask him about it later. But I can always do it myself. I did the same thing on my field duty, except I don't know where that nick came from. On that one, it wasn't me, I don't think. But I got that out real easy on the Sharp Maker. Surprisingly easy for M390, which I guess is another story. But anyway, yeah, so that's the chip. And then when I was cutting out the zip ties, I was opening up a T-set, like a VTech T-set or Leapfrog or whatever. And I had to get under the zip ties and pop them, right? So I'm drunk and I'm sitting there doing it. So I'm like, I'll use any knife. I don't care. It's a $600 knife. I'll use it. So, and I would do that normally, but I'd be careful, right? So I get under the zip tie, and I'm like, this knife can handle it. And I just kind of like, right? And I go to pop it, and I did pop it. But because of the way I'm holding it, left-handed, I was putting pressure on the button. So I popped the zip tie, and then the blade literally shot down and got me right here on the hand. It cut me. It wasn't a bad cut or anything, but I was like, oh shit, what was that? And then I had to cut another one, and I did the same thing. Again, I was drunk, so there's that. But if you're in a reverse grip like this left-handed, you're right there where the button is. And it's so easy to just, while you're focusing on that, just kind of put your thumb over it, and any little pressure, and you're going to start to break it, and then it'll break, right? Right-handed, I don't know how that would happen. Maybe if you were doing this and you kind of put a little pressure down, you might give it enough to break it. I'm not sure. It's just something that happened. And of course, you know, I had just had an Emerson wave on me that day in those pants. And I was just getting frustrated with the knife, right? And then the next day, I fucking chipped the blade. Like, it was just like a pile up of shit with the Sumo. Like, it was trying to piss me off. It was almost like the knife doesn't want me to like it anymore. And, I'm sorry, knife, but you're not going anywhere. I love this fucking thing. Alright, I am really screwing this up, huh? Whew, cutting. Sounds. Guys, this thing sounds like $1 million. It's just amazing. The acoustics on this knife are just to die for. They're the best acoustics on a knife I think I've ever handled. It just has this marble feeling to it. Have you ever taken like 2 or 3 marbles and clanging them together, rolling them in your hand, and they're bouncing off each other, and they make this kind of like... I don't know how to explain it, but that's what it sounds like, and it's amazing. Because of the milling in there and the titanium and the way the blade is finished, it just has amazing acoustics, man. That is something you will notice at this price point. Once you start getting into these kind of mid-techy knives, acoustics start to kind of get better. Like, something changes. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. So that is sounds. It's like a 9 out of 10. I mean, it is epic on the sounds. So I've covered aesthetics, ergos. I've covered cutting, carry, and sounds. Action. So this is where this knife absolutely shines. This right here is the Fidget King in my collection, and I would argue the Fidget King of knives. Now, I recently got the EMP EDC Nimble right here, which has a hole here so you can reverse flick it. It has a flipper tab, and you can also front flip it. Obviously, you can use the hole for a thumb deploy if you're right-handed, know what you're doing. You can slow roll it out. This thing just has options, right? It's very fidgety. But the Sumo has something it does not, a button lock. It drops shut like a goddamn guillotine. And if you want to do it where you time it right and let go, you can, and it'll suck it in. It won't bounce off, but I like the double bounce. You know what I'm saying? I like to bounce it bounce. So, first off, you have this flipper tab, which is super minimal and weird. It's vertical. A lot of people hate this flipper tab, and I get it. You have to get your finger in there, and using it as an actual flipper tab, if I do my little detent test, it goes about that far. But it's okay because there's so much else going on that it's just a little bit of an extra little piece of enjoyment, right? It doesn't get in the way at all. It doesn't mess up in your pocket. But if you want to flick it out, you can. You got to give it a little bit of wrist. If you want to really manhandle it, you can. You can get it all the way out with it. Not the best flipper tab, but it is amazing in conjunction with everything else, and I'll get to that. You have those thumb studs I talked about, these triangle type thumb studs. Very good thumb studs, very intuitive. Just push them, You can also do the reverse flick on them. You could do the Emerson wave on them if you want. Fantastic. Okay, what else? There's a fuller, guys. This is the game changer about this knife. Imagine a Malibu that had a cutout to flick, okay? Just think about it. So, I have a fuller I can reverse flick. My favorite thing to do. And then I can button lock it down. Reverse flick. Button lock. Oh yeah, that fuller's pretty big. Can I get my ring finger in there? Hell yeah, you can, Kev. Bang. Ring finger flick. Middle finger flick. Thumb flick on a thumb stud. Okay, hey, let me throw in that little fun flipper tap. Bang. Oh, you know what? I got a button lock. Let me just button lock dance it. It is endless with this knife. I just can't express it enough, guys. It is so fun to play with. All right. Now, the thing about action people ask about, the detent. Detent Diva over here. Did I mention t-shirts? Doing a run of t-shirts, guys. Hit me up. Detent. It's a button lock, so it has that kind of spring thing going on where it kind of feels like a little bit of detent lash, but it's not really on this one. It's strong enough that, see that? Trying to show it, really show the detent. Watch it suck in at some point. There. So it's not like it's weak. It's just that the detent is kind of spread over this whole section of the opening. From close to like here is all right, I should say till here is all detent. And then it breaks. So it has that little bit of spring tension in there. And because of that, I can kind of gear up on this and flick it out. If it was super weak and I just did this and kind of like, you know, flopped out with the knife, then I would hate it. But it doesn't. I can give a little bit of pressure and flick it and it comes out. And it's just so good. I can't explain it. Normally, yeah, I would be complaining about a detent this late. But it just isn't that late. It's just the way it's done because it's a button lock. It flippin' works, okay? It's my favorite knife to fidget with ever. I've never had a knife that I've enjoyed fidgeting with more than the Hoback knife Sumo, okay? And then, to wrap this up, it's $550, which, yes, is a lot of money. This is made in gosh darn America, guys. I think it's made in Ohio. It has titanium, 20 CV. It has all the trimmings, guys. All the good stuff. Has a fantastic edge. Fantastic finish. The build quality is insane. It's a button lock. It's just out of this world, guys. I took it apart a couple times, and it's just a pleasure to take apart for a button lock. And just in general, just take it apart, look inside, admire it. It's worth $550 every goddamn day of the week, okay? But yes, it has issues, okay? Detent isn't the strongest thing in the world. You can throw it out, you know, but it's not just like gonna fall out or anything, you know? So it's strong enough for all of the deployment methods and the way the detent works, it's just phenomenal. The ergos are absolutely insanity for me, personally. The blade, on top of all of those amazing things, it's a good cutter. It's a good knife. But it's a button lock, so be careful of the button, because you might disengage it on accident and cut yourself. The stock clip is absolute trash because of that point. But you just need to round it off. You don't need a new clip. That's good. Yeah, it has the Emerson deploy thing that kind of bothers me a little bit. And the way it rides in pocket is not ideal, but it works just fine. I can recommend this knife to left-handed people all day, every day, no mother flipping problem. And to righties, of course, I can recommend this. You just got to get the clip modded. That's key here if you're right-handed especially. Even if you're left-handed, get it done, baby. This knife is an absolute treasure of a knife. It's an absolute winner in my collection. It is a top 5 knife right now in the Lefty EDC Wall of Knife fame, whatever the fuck that is. I don't want to stop this video because I don't want to stop fidgeting with this beast. And that means I gotta send it off to the next guy, aka Justin, Tier 1 EDC and Gear Reviews. I just don't want to give it up. It's so good. And you know what's gonna happen? There's gonna be one on the secondary while it's gone, and I'm gonna buy another one, and I'm gonna have 2, because that's what I do. All right, sorry, it's way too late, and I'm out of it. The Hoback knife Sumo by Jake Hoback is an absolutely fantastic knife. I cannot recommend it enough. I'm done rambling. I love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will catch you later.